In this video, I want to go ahead and show you how to merge SKGSF, or the SKG Shooter Framework, however you know it as, into the game animation sample project. Now, to begin, all I've done is I went ahead and added the SKG plugin, as well as migrated over SKGSF core and the example content. Now, you don't need the example content. I'm just doing it because it already has a firearm, all that set up just to kind of really quickly test and get going. So to make use of this content, we need to, because it interacts with the asset manager, add all the primary, well, basically the assets to scan to our configuration. So to begin, we're going to start at our config and load up the default game.ini. And here, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing, but for the SKGSF project. And we want to grab everything from PDA firearm and down, and simply paste it in. Then we can go ahead, save it, close it, and we're done there. And next up, just because I already know there's going to be some camera clipping, we can search for the near clip plane, and I'm going to set it to 1. Okay, once we've done that, let's just restart the project and begin. Okay, so to begin, I want to go ahead and get myself set up with a basic first-person view. So we're going to go to our sandbox character. That is zoomed in a weird way. And we want to go to setup camera, which is right here off of the possession. And you can see it has this console variable that it's reading the value from. And because I don't like using the gameplay camera, realistically, at all, I want to switch it to use the normal camera. We're going to go ahead and swap this basically to be, false. So in our console, we're just going to set it to equal false, like so. And when we press play, we should now not be using the gameplay camera. So if I shrink the spring arm to say 10, so it's really close, you can see that's what we are using. So I want to take the camera, go ahead and attach it to the mesh, and go ahead and ditch the spring arm, as well as, I don't really need the gameplay camera, so we're probably going to scrap it. But we need to add a camera socket for this camera to attach to. So let's go ahead, go to our skeleton, and there's something else we need to actually do. And this is kind of a problem with the gameplay, or sorry, not the gameplay, the UEFN. I don't know if it's just the skeleton or the mesh, but whoever did it, they put the head bone at 1.15 scale, and you cannot change it. And I have no idea why. So one way around that is to go ahead, which we kind of have to do, unfortunately. So I'll just close everything else out. We're going to go to the mannequin mesh here that the character's using. We're going to go ahead and export it. And I've already done so here. Then I want to rename it to old. Let that do its thing. Then to be safe, because I've had a lot of crashing issues, I'm going to go ahead and update redirectors and save it. So now what I want to do is go ahead and bring in that mannequin. So I'm going to go ahead, use pipeline defaults, and uncheck import materials because I don't care about it, and just make sure it's using the correct skeleton, which is the UEFN skeleton, and import. And that's pretty much it. So now, if I go ahead and open that up, select the head bone, we can see that the scale is 1. So now we just want to go ahead, set the material to be the UEFN, save it, and then we can go to our old one, and this is why I renamed it, and delete it. So when we come over here, we have the option to replace, in which case we're going to replace with the UEFN mannequin skeleton, or skeletal mesh, that we just imported. So replace references, and just let it do its thing. Once again, update redirectors, and save. So now, if we head to the skeleton and select the head bone, you can see our scale is good at 1. So now we can begin setting everything up for the skeleton. So to begin, we're going to go ahead and add a camera socket, and I'm just going to call it S_camera and put it somewhere out in front of the head. And we want this to be X forwards. So right now it's Y forwards and X up. So we're going to rotate it around 90 degrees and forward 90 degrees. So now it's X forward and Z up. And we can save that. Then head back to our character blueprint here and make the camera attached to S_camera and zero out the transform. So when we hit play, now I've had this issue before and I don't know why, but it basically possesses the pelvis. So the way to go, at least that I did it to go around it, was in setup camera. I just kind of bypassed it straight to the camera. And then if memory serves, I think I had to delete the gameplay camera. Yeah, so like that. So now I can look down, everything's attached to the head. It's just getting a lot of influence from the animation. So we're going to go ahead and on the camera enable use pawn control rotation. So that way the rotation is our controller. So now we are pretty much good to go. We just have a problem with this whole turning process here. So when we turn, we want to turn the mesh. So that's pretty simple. So let's go ahead, go to our character's animation blueprint and get that set up. So we're basically just getting everything set up for first person at this point. One thing we want to look for is should turn in place. We want to go to that function, and basically it is going to do the turn in place if we are aiming in this context. So for example, if I hold the right mouse button and I turn, you can see, granted it spins too far sometimes like that, but you can see it now at least turns, but when I release it, it does nothing. So we want to change the logic to where anytime this threshold is passed, we perform our turn in place. So now anytime I just, turn like normal, it at least does turn in place, but we do again still have that issue of the 360. And I'm going to leave that up to you all to resolve. I'm sure there's probably videos on how to do so. That's, beyond this scope. I'm just getting a semi-okay first-person setup. All right, so now we want to go ahead and prepare this to actually do the integrating with SKG. So this was just kind of the prep and getting it set up for a first-person view. Now we want to go through, add the virtual bones, set up the blend mask, and set up the anim graph, and it's done. So pretty much, it's quite literally the same as following the documentation from the what do you call it, the wiki page or any of those tutorial videos. But I digress. If you want to follow those, you'll end up with the same result pretty much. So to begin, we're going to go ahead, go to our skeleton. You can honestly also put these on the mesh itself, which is probably actually a better idea. But just for the time, I'm going to go ahead, add a virtual bone on the head and make the target the head and call it IK hand gun underscore parent. So let that go through and process through all the animations. Save that, add another one, which will also be on the head, but it's going to use IK handgun parent as the parent instead. So next up, I want to have one more, and this one goes to IK hand gun. So again, it's going to go through all the animations, blah, 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 let it do its thing. And there it is. So we want to go ahead and rename this one for parent IK handgun to simply IK handgun. Nailed the spelling. This is always annoying when it has a crap ton of animations. Side note, I also wouldn't recommend using the gameplay animation sample project for first person, but that's a whole other reason. Next up, we want to grab this one that's on the head and call it IK handgun ADS. and save that. And then we want one more virtual bone, which is for firearm collision. So off the head, we're going to have a virtual bone. Make the target. I'm going to use IK hand root. Okay. And then I want to rename it to firearm collision and save. So that's it for the virtual bones. Now we just need a blend mask. So we're going to go to blend profiles, add blend mask of, let's do a upper lower body split. Starting from IK hand root, set it to 1, right click, recursively set blend scales to 1 so it goes to its children. On spine 0, 1, do the same thing, set it to 1, and recursively set them, and it'll cover all the virtual bones as well, all the way through the head. So save that, and our skeleton is good to go. Okay, I guess it's got to do its stuff here again. All right, once that's done, go ahead and save. And we'll go to the anim graph and start splitting the upper and lower body. So off the very last node here, I'm just going to drag off and save a new cached pose called motion matching cached pose. Then I want to bring that back in. So motion matching cached pose. And I'm going to do a layered blend per bone, selecting blend mask. And we are going to use the blend mask we just made, which is the upper lower body split, and enable mesh space rotation blend. So now we just need a upper body animation and the procedurals applied. So let's go ahead and add the procedural layer, go to class settings, implemented interfaces. We're going to bring in the ALI underscore SKGSF example and go to interfaces, animation layers, grab SKGSF procedurals. Now we just need a simple idle animation to hold the M4 with. So we already have one in SKGSF core, animation, animations, and here we have this one, which we want to right click and retarget, change the skeleton to the UEFN mannequin like so, and select the corresponding animation and hit export animations. And I'm just going to throw it in the root and add a suffix of motion matching just so I can very easily find it and open it up. So that looks good enough for me. But if we add a preview asset to IK handgun of the M4, you can see the IK handgun and R and L don't exactly retarget nicely. So it's basically snap back to hand R. So what we want to do is create a socket on hand R, and I'm just going to call it IK hand gun underscore correction. I'm just going to start it with S underscore, and I want to add a preview asset of, again, the M4, and just simply put it, roughly in position. So I'm going to go into the top view, try to get it pretty close. So I'm going to undo snapping. So I'm going to move it down and try to have it kind of follow this line. So I want the center of the stock in the middle and the center of the muzzle also in the middle, which that's pretty close. So that way it's an indication that the firearm is pointed pretty straight. Then I want to go into the front view so I can get it horizontally also pretty good. Like so. That's pretty darn close. And then just kind of, fit it in the hand. So about like that. And we can fix the left hand later on as well. So now go to Window, Animation, Data Modifiers, and we want to add copy IK handgun bones to socket, which comes with SKGSF, and the socket name is going to be S underscore IK handgun correction. So copy, paste, and apply. And then we can close that. You can see IK handgun is now in the correct position, exactly where the socket is, as well as IK hand L and R have also been corrected. So we can save that and move that to our sandbox character. Not sure why it's doing this stuff again. All right, there we go. So plug that in and plug it in. And we are good from the anim graph side. So we can close all this down and go ahead and add our SKG shooter pawn component. We're going to go down to initialize, set the linked anim layer class to be the procedurals. And we're going to go ahead and, we need to rename this one to kind of have it match. But it is called, well, let's see. Yeah, we'll just remove that, call it camera component, just to match. So that way it can pick it up. And we already have our socket of S underscore camera. So we are good to go there. So when we hit play, we are pretty much good to go. We have our lower body and we have our upper body in basically the rifle holding pose. So let's go ahead and equip the firearm. So in our event graph, I'm just going to do this on key press. So left mouse button, I'll change it to, I don't think G is used for anything. And I'm going to spawn an actor. Let's do the M4. Set the DA construction to be the M4 base style 1. Zero out the spawn transform, doesn't really matter. And we're going to go ahead and attach actor to component, socket being IK hand gun, location, rotation, and scale are all going to be snap, and the parent will be the mesh. Lastly, let's go ahead, grab the shooter pawn component, set the held actor to be that M4. So when I press G, we have the firearm being spawned. That definitely did not attach quite correctly, but you can kind of see how it's working. So I need to adjust, I believe that is blend mask related. So we at least have the firearm in place. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go back to the animation blueprint. Okay, make sure that's set up correctly. Along with that, let's go to the skeleton, view the upper lower body split. Okay, those are also correct. Let's see, let me see what I'm missing really quick. Okay, so it just occurred to me I completely forgot to actually apply the IK in the anim graph. So I apologize. What we need to do basically is copy IK handgun to IK handgun, the virtual bone, and then use 2-bone IK to fix up the left and right hand so they go to where hand R and hand L is. So the easiest way to go about this is just to go to the SKGSF core, open the anim BP, in the anim graph. Right here at the end, we have basically just the application of the applying IK. So copy, paste it, and plug it in like so. So now when I press G, there we go, we have our firearm. Now to fix the left hand, that's due to it using a non-retargeted animation. So if I select, for example, the hand guard, go to the blueprint, we have the offhand IK component. We can go to its settings, and you can see here it's using the old M4 idle for the UE5 mannequin. We want to go ahead and make it use ours that we retargeted, and that's pretty much it. So when I press G, we have the correct animation. The only drawback being it's a little bit far out there, so we want to adjust the socket. So I'm going to go to the handguard mesh, grab the left hand IK socket, and just more or less move it around. So I'm going to go back some and down like so. And that's pretty close, so we'll save it. And that's good there. So now we just want to test aiming. So just like everything else, we're going to add a input to the right mouse button. And on the shooter pawn component, we'll call start aiming and stop aiming. Plug it into pressed and released. And press G, and when we right click, there we go. You can see it aims right to the center in front of our camera. So at that point, you are pretty much good to go. So that's really it. Everything else is just a matter of doing what you would normally do to develop your project. So you would add functions for, shooting, reloading, yada, 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 and it'll all function pretty much the same. So like I had mentioned, it is, aside from fixing the head bone, it is quite literally the same process as just following the documentation. I just wanted to make that pretty clear. But worst comes to worst, hopefully this video helps. So with that out of the way, I will see you in the next video. I don't know why I said that last part. This is not a series. I got into the habit of it from the zombie series that's coming.